Thanks everyone for joining us today. And like Luke said, for being flexible. I am so excited to finally talk to you about our new program and what you can do to participate and just spread the word about this in your community. I can say with great confidence that everyone watching right now appreciates birds, right? So we spend a lot of our time and effort and money attracting them to our yards. We provide feeders, we plant native plants to provide shelter, food, and safe places to nest. We also install water features, as we all know how important water is in our desert environment. So all of these factors are factors of a bird-friendly yard. Recently, we started to also list safe passage as one of the components of a bird-safe, bird-friendly yard. Some birds may not stay to utilize habitat in the yard for a while, or some of them are just interacting in the habitat and going in and out constantly throughout the day. So safe passage is equally as important. And the problem is that by inviting them to our yards, we're also attracting birds closer to windows inadvertently, which is proving to be deadly for them. Window collisions are a significant source of bird deaths that are human caused in North America. 365 million to 1 billion birds die from window strikes in the United States alone. So that's 1 million birds a day on the lower side of the estimate. And that's every year, year after year, and only in the United States. We can't afford to lose any more birds. To put that into a human perspective, a low yearly estimate is greater than the total populations of the top 200 cities in the United States. That's a lot of birds. And more birds are found near buildings as the urban centers are expanding, and we create habitat pockets in our backyards, which we should, and we shouldn't be discouraged from doing that. We've all seen these ghostly images left after bird strikes on the windows. It's an upsetting image to see, but not all strikes leave a mark. In fact, many people don't even realize how often it happens in their own homes. This past year has forced many people to work from home. People really started to notice how often they hear thuds of birds hitting the windows while they're working at home. Birds that hit windows, they can become stunned or injured, which makes them more susceptible to other predators. But that's best case scenario. Many birds die on impact and get carried off by hawks or cats, leaving no evidence of what even happened. Window collisions kill some of the most fit of the population also, which is not just the weak and an unfit of the gene pool, which risks to weaken the gene pool of the bird population. Windows are dangerous to birds for three main reasons. Transparency is the first one. Birds are not familiar with the concept of glass, making them think that they can reach whatever is on the other side of the glass, causing a collision. Also in our homes, we often have windows that are directly across from each other, and it may seem like a passage that can be crossed by birds. Confused birds, they end up colliding with the transparent glass. And humans are familiar with the concept of glass and transparency, but we still walk into a really clean glass door. Like I've done it. We can't blame birds for doing it. The other factor is reflection. On their own, double paned windows, which are in most homes, are already reflective in the right lighting. Many window companies now offer UV protecting coating to decrease the home cooling costs, but it creates an even stronger mirror-like image, as you can see in this photo. Birds see this as perfectly normal habitat to fly to. Again, it causes a collision that they may not recover from. Light is another factor, whether it's indoors or outdoors. Lights are confusing and disorienting to migrant and resident birds. This is a picture of a direct way birds get caught in the light beams. This is a 9/11 memorial to Twin Towers that projects strong beams of light into the sky of New York City. They trap thousands of birds, making them fly around in circles and crashing to the ground. But thanks to the local Audubon chapter, they now turn off these lights intermittently to allow the birds to move on. Many don't realize this, but a lot of birds actually migrate at night, and this is a big problem. Also, high-rise buildings are contributing to this problem by leaving lights on during peak migration, causing collisions. And part of our program will be to educate and convince building managers to turn off lights during peak migration time. I will touch on that later in the presentation. Lighting in residential homes also affects and contributes to the light pollution of our skies. Birds that migrate or hunt at night navigate by moonlight or starlight. Artificial light can cause them to wander off course and toward the dangerous nighttime landscapes of cities. Every year, like I said, millions of birds die with striking needlessly illuminated buildings and towers. So are there factors that affect bird window collisions, making them more likely or less likely? Certainly. We notice more window strikes during spring as more birds are interacting in their breeding habitats. This includes the very clumsy juveniles. What is especially sad is that if parents perish by a window strike, then most likely their whole brood in the nest will die also. That way, the window mortality is even greater in an indirect way. Window strikes can occur any time of day, but they're most likely in the early mornings and evenings when the birds are most active. Homes that are located in or near migration corridors, they can have the more strikes than the others. For example, near riparian corridors in Arizona. And when comparing high-rise and low-rise buildings, it's actually the short residential buildings that see the most strikes. This is because we work very hard to create wildlife-friendly yards or simply any type of landscaping. And we should not be discouraged from doing so. Birds rely on backyard habitat a lot. So instead, we should take action to make windows safe for birds. This is where our Bird Safe Buildings program comes in. We always advocated for bird safe windows at Tucson Audubon, but we've now received an Audubon in Action grant from National Audubon Society to actually start a fully involved program in Tucson and surrounding areas. So all this Southeast Arizona serviced area by Tucson Audubon. We live in the middle of a major flyway, migratory flyway. Many birds funnel through Arizona on the way to or from their wintering grounds if traveling over land. This is all the more reason to protect all the birds that are migrating or residing here all year by providing safe passage. We plan on tackling the dual issue of high-rise, like I said, and commercial building outreach, as well as residential window strikes, where most of the strikes occur. We have National Audubon, International Dark Skies Association, and Tucson Wildlife Center as our amazing partners at tackling this issue. And that's only the start of what we hope to be blossoming multi-organization program here. And here's where you come in. We want to reach out to as many people as we can and urge them to take action in their homes. Everyone in the audience today is a bird appreciator. So we actively want to help our local birds, but there are also people that don't realize that this is a big issue, and that they don't know what they can do to prevent these window strikes in their home. So those are the people that we also want to reach and educate. And we hope that you will also want to spread the word and encourage your neighbors or your friends to also take action in their homes. And we want to show that this isn't a daunting task. We offer a way that can be fitting for anyone to prevent collisions. We offer do-it-yourself tutorials as well as budget-friendly options for anyone. The start is simple. What we want you to do is start with treating windows that are directly across from feeders and water features that many of us have at our homes. You will continue with windows where you have seen or heard a strike occur. Look for evidence, though keep in mind that sometimes no evidence is left behind. Windows that reflect habitat, including reflecting sky, are very dangerous and should be treated. Ideally, we would work our way up towards treating all the windows around our homes, but to start taking action is the first step, which I hope everybody will want to do by the end of this presentation. So I'm gonna go over some best practices here and then dive into some of the methods that have been proven to be the most effective. And first, if you have two windows that are directly across from each other or simply reflect a flower pot or anything like that on the other side that birds may want to fly to through your window, you can block it with internal blinds unless it creates a reflective surface and is not visible. I especially like the roll-up sunshades you see here on the left. They keep your house cooler also by blocking the direct light that goes into your windows, but also it completely breaks up any reflection or transparency that may occur during the day. And you're still able to see to the outside when using this method. A study by Dr. Clem showed that feeders placed within 0 to 3 feet of a window are actually safer, as birds cannot gain enough speed when they're taking off from the feeder to do any damage. Also, when they're flying to the feeder, they're usually have a target to land on. Additionally, having feeders further than 30 feet away also allows for more place to maneuver for birds that get spooked away by a hawk or anything at all. It's just more place for them to take off and gain enough height without hitting any windows nearby. But of course, the very best thing that you can do is making windows visible to birds. There's many methods to do this that align with people's different aesthetics, but the general rule to this is to keep the designs 2 by 2 inches apart, which would protect even our tiny hummingbird species from thinking that they can fly through. So previously it has been proposed to do a 2 by 4 spacing, but it has now moved closer to 2 by 2. This is especially important with how many different hummingbird species we have in our area, that they are very fast flyers and they can maneuver in the smallest spaces. So a 2 by 2 inch spacing will protect our hummingbirds. All designs must be visible from at least 10 feet away or further. If you're going with stripes, they must be at least 1/8 inch wide and dots are at least 1/4 inch in diameter. With that being said, bigger patterns are seen better from greater distances. Again, this is not anything to memorize. We have all of this available on our website, which I will go through with you together closer to the end of this presentation. Still, with all of these measurements, the 2x2 rule is still the most important factor. All this information will also be on our website when you're ready to take action in your home. Lighting recommendations not only help our wildlife friends, but also our right to enjoy a starry night. International Dark Skies Association has these guidelines for residential lighting. So I have all this on their website too to link. They've done amazing work already creating all these guidelines. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. They have all this available for us. And so to go through all of this, all lights should have a purpose. So all lights should be there to either light your entryway or a path for you. All lighting should be targeted. So on the image on the right, you see in this picture that there's a lot of different lights that illuminate all around. Instead, have a shielded light that shines toward the ground or an entryway, as you see on the bottom right. It illuminates exactly where you need it as you're getting in and out of your home. You would want to also use lower strength warm lights that reflect less into the night sky, causing less light pollution. Installing dimmers and motion sensors to control when the light is on will also save you money in the long run. But before I move on to the methods that we recommend, Luke, do we have any questions on the first part?
No questions at this point, but I just, as I put in the chat, I put the link to the Tucson Audubon window strikes website. So I'll also include that in the follow-up email that we sent out this afternoon.
Awesome.
No questions in the chat at this time, and we'll open it up for questions at the end too, I think.
Great. I just saw, I think that must have been your message that popped up when I was talking.
That was me.
All right, so the first method that we encourage people to use is called Ucopian bird sabers. And this method uses hanging cords where you can use string or ribbons that are at least 1/8 of an inch wide, spaced 2 inches apart, of course. Can't forget that. This is a great option that does not adhere directly to your window. So if you're renting or otherwise cannot put anything on your window directly, you can use this method. You can make your own by following a tutorial online on the link above or ordering them on the link also. They don't care if you order from them or if you make your own. So they just want as many people to use this method. So they do provide a tutorial that you can do with paracord or anything you have available around your home. And this is all on our website as well. Weatherguard is a similar idea as bird savers, but it relies more on the motion and the color of the feathers. These are string and colorful feathers attached. We sell these at our nature shop and in store and online, I mean, for $12. You can also create designs using tempera crafting paint or bar soap or chalk markers, any type of oil-based marker, acrylic paint, anything that is fairly temporary, but also can be removed easily. So you may have seen some acrylic paint ones on the storefronts where they are changed up seasonally. And what I like about this is that you can be so creative with this. It can be really anything. Some Habitat at Home participants have even hired local artists to make a fun design on their windows. It doesn't have to be fancy though. You can use a stencil or involve your family and kids, and you can switch these up to match any type of seasonal holiday or anything that you enjoy specifically as a fun project. These are removed easily with window cleaner, but they do stay up quite well with regular rain conditions. Kaleidoscape Film is a company. They make special window film that you can have either a plain color or images printed on. This is a type of film that's used for advertising on buses, for example. It also saves on cooling your house by blocking some of the light that comes in. You can see out during the day, but not so much at night. So this is something to consider. This method adheres directly to your windows, and it's very popular with commercial buildings, such as this hawk sanctuary. You see here, they have a whole hawk field guide printed on their window, door window. And you can see that it's solid from the outside, but on the inside, you can see out easily. And that's something that is ordered directly from them. We also sell these UV decals, but keep in mind that birds are not afraid of a single hawk decal. The shape actually doesn't matter. We have butterflies, hawks, hummingbirds, leaves, all kinds of shapes for these decals. And if you buy these, you have to make sure that to space them apart 2 inches again. It should look similar to the image on the left here. They're sold at our nature shop and online for $9.50 per pack of 2. This is a bird crash preventer, which is a bracket of monofilament lines, and it comes with hardware required for installation. This method prevents the view, or preserves the view, I'm sorry, and is easily installed. It's a little more involved in installation, but it's an option that creates a physical barrier between the window and the bird, so that if any bird does end up flying towards the window, then it's safely bounced off without any harm. This is my personal favorite. I'm very much of a minimalist and a fan of symmetry, so I really like this dotted pattern. Your eye gets used to it very fast, so this is called feather friendly. There's a method out there for everyone's aesthetic, and all of these methods are American Bird Conservancy approved. They test these methods. You don't have, and also you don't have to measure every single dot as you're putting them on your windows. Feather friendly makes it really easy by providing tape that you can just unroll and stick to your surface. We sell these at our nature shop. They are $17, which covers, one pack is $17. That covers 30 by 80 inch window, for example. So just before we move on, I want to reiterate the rules for this. Again, everyone's homes are going to look different with different types of methods that that you decide to use. But the rules are that you keep the lines or the dots spaced at 2 by 2 inches. It has to be on the exterior surface of the window where it's the most visible. And it has to be large enough markers that are visible from at least 10 feet away. And that's just a small sample of ways that you can make the windows more visible to birds. This is do-it-yourself and budget friendly. And for your convenience, we offer some of these for sale at our nature shop and our online nature shop. But we truly just want you to find something that you will like. American Bird Conservancy tests and approves all of these products. I include this link that has other methods listed. And also it has options for anyone that is building either replacing windows that they have or building a home from scratch and is able to select a bird-friendly glass that goes into their windows. So there's a few options there, pages and pages that you can go through. If you're looking to buy some of these from us, the ones that I listed, I put a price and that they're available at our nature shop. Our nature shop, if you want to shop in person, you can call us or email us. I believe it's still by appointment. And when I say that all these products are tested by American Bird Conservancy, I mean they're really tested. So what they do is they misnet birds, wild birds, then they band them and they put them into a special dark tunnel that you can see on the right side. From the inside, it looks something like this. The tunnel is completely dark. It has special cameras pointed on the inside and a window at the end. One side is treated with whatever method that they're testing, and the other serves as a control. There's a netting across the whole thing so that birds don't actually hit the window, no matter which way they decide to fly. Their flight is then analyzed and the bird is released. So these are all things that they recommend that they know actually works. Luke, do we have questions before I move on?
Yes, we do. They came in. It's good. Okay, so how often should the bird tape or decals be replaced?
So ideally, they're there forever. They don't have to be replaced as long as they're still visible from 10 feet away. A lot of these are, again, tested to withstand any of our the elements, the weather. If you have a window that is constantly exposed to our very harsh summer sun, you might see some weathering, but I have not found that to be the case with a lot of the decals that we have tried, especially some of the bigger ones. So it depends on how much they weather, though I've found that most of them do really well in the elements.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, and someone, I think it was Pat, brought up that used decals in the past, and they've left semi-permanent marks on the glass afterwards. So I guess that kind of goes to the permanence of leaving those decals up for a long time, because
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah, they'll leave some marks on the windows if you try to take them off.
Yeah, so some of the glue that is on the other side of the decals can leave a mark, but most of the tape that we advertise, it says that they're easily removed and easily cleaned. So that's usually what we strive for. We don't want to damage any of those or leave any marks.
Yeah.
But ideally, we do end up wanting to leave them on for a long time. So it is kind of like make a good choice that you would want to see every day and that you would enjoy, so you don't have to take them off.
Yeah, we've had a couple people share that they use the Ucopian type cords. They've either made them or purchased them, I guess, and they both mentioned how well they've worked.
That's
so
awesome.
That's really good. You hit on the part, the designs and the stencils, they're meant to be put on the exterior of the window, not the interior. So we answered that. And when that question was answered, I had this window in front of me at the Mason Center, and it's got the stickers on it. So I kind of like touched it to make sure it was on the outside, and it sure was. So
yeah, we're actually going to be doing another thing at Mason.
Yeah, we need that because I had one hit my window here last week when I was working.
Yeah, we're hoping to potentially try different methods and have Mason Center as a way for people to see different methods installed. So definitely going to be doing something like that this upcoming spring.
Yeah. So one interesting question from Mona was, do we have any info data about bird strikes locally in Tucson? Do we have it? But that's what we're trying to get from folks.
That's a great question. Yes. I'm gonna be talking a little bit more about that in a couple minutes, but yes, we're in need of more data for our local window strikes, because a lot of the work that has been happening with different programs and lights out programs have been in the east for the most part.
Right.
So part of our program is also gathering more data and also involving our community for community science-based reporting. And I will go over that right now, unless you have another question.
One last thing,
Sure.
Tina was wondering about whether you need to put that the striping or the decals all the way down on a sliding glass door, and I think the answer is yes. In part because Pat also mentions that on the glass door that they've had some lower level bird strikes from larger birds down low. So that might be a good idea to have all the way down.
Yeah, definitely. It's better to cover more because most of your strikes will occur in the middle of the window, kind of like the middle portion, and maybe 5% on top and 5% on the bottom will not be hit. But what you will see in the spring during breeding season is that a lot of birds become very hormonal and territorial. They start seeing their own reflection in some of the windows down below, and they start flying into it and fighting their own reflection, thinking that someone is intruding on their territory. And while I see the videos online a lot and people mostly just laugh about it, but this is all very precious energy that these birds could be using to actually do breeding type of activities instead of fighting their own reflection. So if you do have that happen, if you don't have something that is blocking enough of their reflection, you can cover it with a plant or anything temporarily while the bird moves on. And that way they don't spend all that energy fighting their own reflection. So to go back to the question, yeah, you should cover the most of your window.
Yeah. Gigi also brings up the do-it-yourself Ucopian treatment is easy to make, cost-effective, Maybe we can even do like a short video sometime on the do-it-yourself Ucopian treatment and post that up or something for.
Exactly, and that's my goal also, to make these tutorials that are locally specific to us, and hopefully make it easy for people to follow along. With the Ucopian bird savers, you can get cord by the foot anywhere. For example, I got cord from Ace Hardware that is really, really quite cheap and holds up in the weather just fine. So definitely going to be making some videos on different methods that we can use.
Sweet. That's great. Thanks, Julia. Yeah, let's get into the your next section here.
Sure. So before I go through the community science part of this program, I want to also touch on what to do if you do end up with an injured bird at your home. Hopefully, we're all inspired to take some action on our windows, but you might still run into window strikes at your place of business or anywhere else that you end up going. So here are some guidelines that you should do. These are provided to us by the licensed rehab facility of Tucson Wildlife Center, and they are definitely really excited to partner with us, as they get so many window strikes that end up at their facility. And hopefully with the education materials that we will provide them, they'll be able to educate people on what to do and prevent these from happening again. So if you hear or if you see a window strike and the bird has not recovered within an hour, or if it's in immediate danger, that you know there's feral cats around your home, or a close by road or something like that, you should try and capture this bird. Throw a lightweight towel on the bird and gently scoop it into a cardboard box that has a towel on the bottom and sufficient airflow. Then you want to take out the other towel that you used to capture the bird and transport the bird to Tucson Wildlife Center as soon as possible. For the most part, you don't want to feed the bird anything. Water is usually not required unless you are holding the bird for an extended period of time and you can't get to Tucson Wildlife Center soon enough. Then you would want to provide a very shallow dish for a short period of time. Then there's the unfortunate possibility that you will encounter a dead bird that has collided with the window. And what we have done is we partnered with Liberty Wildlife Wildlife Rehab Center in Phoenix to provide a meaningful way to dispose of these dead birds. So what you can do, if the bird is in good enough condition, you could donate it to the Liberty Wildlife Feather Repository, which is a feather bank that's permitted by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to accept, hold, and distribute feathers to Native Americans for ceremonial needs. Our contact for Liberty Wildlife is Robert Mesta. His contact information is on our website. You can pick up the bird and wrap it in a paper towel, put it in a Ziploc bag, and freeze it until further transportation. Email Robert, include a species name or picture in your email, and he'll be able to let you know if there's a need for the specific species you're submitting. Liberty Wildlife is not able to take all submissions due to limited space, but some birds are highly desired for ceremonial needs and can be used that way. Otherwise, it is safe to just bury the bird in your yard or dispose of it in the trash, unfortunately. So to move on from that sad note, part of the Bird Safe Buildings program is also learning about the program that the problem that exists in our area. So we urge you to report your window strikes on our survey on our website. On the right side, you'll be able to see this menu with links to everything that you need. When you report window strikes, we will be able to see which species are most affected and which areas need our attention, especially if you are reporting a business. We can approach that business and offer them some solutions to prevent window strikes. We also encourage you to take the pledge to prevent window strikes. It's just a simple survey that asks you for different methods that you use to prevent window strikes in your home. And then, okay, I actually want to go ahead and head to our website now, just to show you just a quick, okay, it should be showing now. All right, so this is our website. It's tucsonaudubon.org/window-strikes. And as you scroll down, you'll be able to see a little bit about the problem. You can refer your friends also to learn more about this, but also this window, this menu will, you'll be able to report a window strike case. And it's a very simple user-friendly survey that it just asks you things like, where did the strike occur? Was it a private residence or business? This is just for us to learn more. It's not, to shame anybody or anything. So also learning like how many above ground levels does this building have? Which side of the building does this strike occur? Are there feeders around? What is the condition of the bird? What is the species? If you don't know the species, no problem, attach a little photo for us and we'll be able to identify them. And then any notes or observations that you might also want to provide. Going back, there's also a global collision mapper that includes bigger level scale mappers, and in our area they lack more information, so that's something you can also contribute to. Window treatment options. Take the pledge to prevent window strikes. This is something that will help us learn more about how many people are actually interested in taking action and what are the things that they're doing. So for example, I'm going to apply window deterrents to my windows. I'm going to educate others. I'm going to turn off lights, contact government officials, things like that. We want to learn how it's spreading around Tucson, and you can provide your address or you can just do the closest cross streets. Private residence or business. So we do hope that more businesses want to participate in this program as well. And you'll also be able to get a special sticker decal that recognizes your program participation and a certificate saying thank you and that you are making a difference in this global issue. There's also design options if you're building or replacing windows, product database, resources for wildlife friendly lighting as well that I mentioned. There's just a lot more to go in depth of lighting. And then other bird conservancy resources to learn from. So going back, please, if you have photos, we are building a bigger database of everything that's related to window strikes. So that includes perished birds that hit a window. If you have some window imprints that you want to share with us, if you want to share pictures of how you're taking action in your own home So by taking the pledge, you have the option to submit a picture that way, or if you want to go ahead and email me directly, that's perfectly fine too. We want to build a larger library of images, but also methods that people are using in their own homes and work here in Tucson, specific to our area, and that people can see and draw inspiration from, hopefully. And then we're also going to be needing volunteers to do walking routes in the spring and fall. We plan on having these walking routes to document window strikes during migration time. And potentially you would document perished birds, but also if any are injured, you would be able to save them and take them to Tucson Wildlife Center. We also need an office volunteer who would help with creating kits for outreach and letters to participants. If you would like to volunteer or just learn more about different ways you could participate in this program, I will be holding a learning Zoom session that goes more in depth about these volunteer positions. So go ahead and email me if you're interested, and I will put you on the list for that. And that should be in February that I'll hold that Zoom. So together we can make a difference, and Tucson Audubon is here to help you take the step and make it as easy as possible. Luke, do you have any questions that have come in since the last time?
Well, first, I just want to say this is, so I hadn't had a chance to see the website, or, you know, I wasn't knowledgeable on everything that was being put together for this. But I'm kind of taken aback at just like how great this is looking. I think this could be provide some really good insight to what's going on with bird strikes here locally, and I think it is really going to motivate people to take action. So it looks really good, and want to say that you know, we've had a couple people mention that they would like to be involved with volunteering with this, and help do some research and to be involved in other ways. So we'll make sure to get those people connected with you. And let's see, is there anyone have any specific questions that they'd like to ask Olia? Feel free to maybe raise your hand. You can raise your hand virtually by the reaction button. There's a little raise. When you hit the reaction button down at the bottom, there's a thing that says raise hand, and we can call on you. Or feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yeah, and if something comes up later that you think of, my email address will be copied on the recording email from Luke, and
Yep.
you'll be able to email me directly and ask me anything about the program or volunteer opportunities or anything that you can do at home for this as well.
Is your email address hard, or can you just give it to us now?
Sure,
Oh,
it's O Phillips.
yeah, Dorothy, what I'll do is I'm gonna be emailing everyone after this with the recording, and Olia will be CC'd on it. So if you just reply to all, that would go to just Olia and me, and you can always take me off if you want, or Dorothy, you can keep me on it. You know, as a volunteer coordinator, I'd love to know about people volunteering too. But so you can just reply to that email to Olia and get connected with her that way.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes it easy. I probably don't want to listen to the whole recording again. Is what I was getting.
No, you don't need to do that.
Although it's
we'll make it
very
super
good,
easy to where
Olia.
you can just respond right through the email you get from me.
Thank you.
It's
Luke.
good to see you, by the way.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, it's good to see a lot of familiar faces. So
I know, right? I miss Dorothy so much, and everyone else here too.
we've been, cooped up inside. I don't see a lot of people anymore. So
Yeah, and if someone mentions in the chat, raise your hand is under the participants, and it's also under reactions, so it's under 2 different spots. Zoom made it easier for us. But if there's no other questions, feel free to unmute yourself and thank Olia verbally, and then we'll, oh, Mona's got a question. Go ahead, Mona.
Yes, so do you have like a minimum age requirement to be a volunteer?
We don't have an age requirement. Oh, I hear myself in the background. I'll mute you while I give my answer here, but no, we don't have an age requirement for volunteering. You know, we have a volunteer agreement that folks fill out, but other than that, whether you're 8 or 80, you can volunteer with us, or anywhere around those ages.
Yeah, the only thing is if you're doing like a walking route, you might need a guardian depending on what age.
Right.
So I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a question. So I put up a finch feeder because there were lots of finches around with thistle seeds, and I was always against feeding wildlife, but I thought like, well, maybe it's a good idea. And so I made absolutely sure it's within 3 feet. And basically right from the beginning, I had these window strikes very, very lightly, only when they were disturbed by somebody walking outside or something. And nobody got hurt or anything, so I always looked for it. But if it's within 3 feet, is this still a problem? And what can I do? Because I don't think they actually want to fly through the window. I think they're just scared of what is, if somebody comes by, walks by the outside. So
yeah, when they're startled by a hawk or anything like that, their main objective is to just burst from whatever they were sitting on and just get away as quick as possible. Sometimes they don't realize what is nearby them. But the best thing, again, those are all really good guidelines that have been tested by universities to do these recommendations of 0 to 3 feet. But still the best thing to do is making the windows visible to birds. I have some windows that I don't use. The window goes straight into my pantry. I never go in there. I cover it completely. It really doesn't matter. I take shade cloth for plants and just tack it onto the actual window. And then I don't mind if I can't see from inside. I'm never in the pantry looking outside. So that is just going to be kind of variable for different windows that you have and the different types of methods. But making the windows visible is the #1 objective.
Okay, I think they're just so startled that they don't even know what they're doing.
Right.
So,
good question though.
Yeah.
Hawks have really learned to scare birds into windows, and then it's easy pickings from there, just grabbing the bird from the ground.
So if the window is not visible, where are they going to go when they're startled? Do they just fly up, or
then they're able to maneuver or into the outer yard instead of bursting towards the window.
Okay.
It's just, I mean, some methods are better than the others, but it may not eliminate all strikes, but the strikes that you do end up eliminating by making windows visible is already making a huge impact on the bird deaths in our area.
Okay.
Yeah, well, thank you again, Olia. We really appreciate all that you're doing here. And want to thank everyone for your participation now and moving forward by reporting anything, putting the decals up in your window, all those different things. We'll be in touch on this again throughout the year, and as we move forward, this won't be the last you hear of it. So thanks again, and we'll be in touch again soon.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you. Oh, yes, such a good job.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye-bye.